Filter lands in Toronto's stacked market, visiting the cross-industry wave makers at COFO Design.
COFO Design was started by Desmond and myself. Two buddies with sort of like creative backgrounds who wanted to take advantage of the ecosystem of my father's business called Visual Elements. We traditionally build like high-end retail environments for like Nordstrom, Coach, Louis Vuitton. So we have like full-on manufacturing, 90,000 square foot facility where we like produce beautiful things on a daily basis. And always being a creative person, and Des and I always being good friends, we're always like, how do we utilize this playground that's in our backyard to do something different and to promote local creatives. So we started COFO Design. For Des and I, we like to smoke together and get creative. Yeah, and it was just always something we sort of like, yeah, let's smoke a J and get creative. And you know, that's how COFO was really developed. Getting together, turning off, smoking a J, and just like pulling out a sketch pad and coming up with ideas.
It puts a pause on the fast-paced environment that we live in, right? It just kind of puts everything kind of on hold and allows us to kind of think in a different mindset.
We've always sort of considered ourselves like a multidisciplinary design studio. We didn't want to box ourselves into strictly furniture. So when cannabis legalization came into Canada, we made some interesting connections along the way. One of them was Ellie Mae Studios, and they're a local fashion design brand.
Yeah. The conversation was sparked over a joint where we could potentially do a collab. There's some, synergies where we, beautiful women's wear collection, vintage, fun and cheeky, with COFO's refined design elements, and together we built our first cannabis accessories collection.
Yeah, and that included the wobble grinder, the half moon ashtray, and our doob tube, which I think you have one.
I have one. I might need more because sometimes you're out, you're like, oh, I could use a few pre-rolls, right? All of your accessories that I've used that are maybe more specifically in the cannabis world, quite frankly, I haven't seen a lot that look like it. You're bringing a whole new angle to it. So some of the cannabis accessories, could you go through some of what the key ones are and maybe how they came about or who you collaborated with to create them?
Yeah, so we manufactured everything. That was sort of our piece to the story. And we also, we designed them as well, with the input of Ellie Mae. But I think we wanted to design something that we could produce sufficiently in our own shop. So we're very proficient in metal work and metal machining. So the teeth on the grinder, that whole assembly was designed and produced by us.
And it cuts like butter.
Yeah, it does, it's very sharp.
Function as well. I know I'm very particular on my grinders and honestly, picky to a point that I have one that I rely on.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen yours, that thing looks so strong that it might be my new one.
Oh, you have to give it a try.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a beautiful thing that doesn't just look like your grinder that you're pulling out of your kit. You can put it on a coffee table. It looks like a little sculpture, a beautiful art piece, like something on your dining table that doesn't look like a grinder.
Yeah.
It wobbles.
True. It wobbles. It wobbles. It's a conversation piece, right?
Totally.
And I think that for a lot of people, myself at least, knowing kind of where it comes from and what its creation was, of a real company trying to bring something new and novel and with like a really high level of thought and consideration into it, especially when it has, I'll say, cannabis consumers in mind with that high function.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think like Des said, we just wanted it to look beautiful at the end of the day. And there are other brands doing it. Yeah. We're not by any means the first, but there's so much room in this industry to get creative, and I think we hit the nail on the head. We've got a lot of retailers carrying the product too that are being very supportive. I think we just shipped our first order to Paris, actually.
Yeah.
So we've gone.
That was really cool, yeah.
International, which is exciting.
You have.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the world we live in now, right? You know, I certainly know if someone anywhere in the world saw some of like those accessories, like the wobble grinder. I mean, is that anywhere else? It's so novel. I've never seen anything like it. It kind of breaks my brain a little bit. You know, I went, how did you even think? How did you think of that?
You know what? To be honest, at first we were thinking it was going to be a full
like
ball
sphere.
It was going to be a sphere, and as we were prototyping it and putting it together, we just had one on our desk, and I let it go, and it just started to wobble back and forth. And I was like, you know, this thing could do two things. It could grind, and it could wobble. I think that.
It's cheeky, yeah. And then it has a brass top that just kind of shines and flickers as it wobbles, and it's just kind of like, why are we covering it with a sphere? Let's let it breathe, and it just became that.
Yeah, it gives it a sense of life almost.
Yeah, it's true. It's
like
got life
character, right? Yeah,
totally.
Personality.
Yeah.
What goes into making an experience at a cannabis retailer? For the two of you, what do you think about? I know a lot of the times it's probably client driven and you want to serve them, but maybe your process of how you go about it.
I mean, first we listen to the client because everyone has a different view on how they want their store to look like, and then and a lot of it is building off of that brand and creating that experience. So what that entails is, like one perfect example is Scarlet Fire Cannabis, which was our first custom design. David Ellison, the owner, is a huge Grateful Dead fan, so he's a Deadhead.
Right.
Which sounds like obvious, like, that's obviously in cannabis culture.
It's
like,
a line.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
But we were like, how do we design a dispensary that's not like you don't walk in there and you think, okay, it's for a bunch of bunch of Deadhead stoners, right? Like, how do we kind of level that up and make it an experience?
Exactly, and so David, like, he knew what he wanted, he just didn't know how to get there. So, he kind of recommended us to watch The Long Strange Trip.
Which you should watch. Very interesting.
Yeah.
It was 4 hours, but it was a trip. And the rest was history. Listen to the sound.
That is good.
Isn't it satisfying?
Theran continues his cool cannabis journey at one of Toronto's art subculture hubs.
You got lots of Wilco stuff in there.
Lots of my.
That Tweety's great.
So good, eh?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that great?
Oh, this one's in Toronto. Fantastic.
It's good, eh? I was just up at Bloor and Bathurst a couple of hours ago, and
Yeah, that's gone.
it's changed a lot.
Yeah. Your store is one that I've always just walked by and looked in the windows all the time. You have a tendency to change the prints in the windows quite often, and you usually have some, really interesting things that I never see anywhere else. Are they limited? Are they...
Yes, almost everything we have is a limited edition, either silk screen or lithograph, or giclée, or typically it's the kind of material you can't get anywhere else in Canada. The prints and posters are a bit of a Trojan horse. They're fun to sell, and we just have a good time selling them, and we've got some fun suppliers, and the people like, and we just try and have fun.
Yeah. It's always been just a fun place to walk by. I've been in a couple times to look around, and it's always just kind of a colorful adventure coming in. In the past, are there any standout pieces that you've had come through?
Maybe the most interesting thing we've ever framed was many years ago, and it was before Shepard Fairey was famous. He lived in, I think, North Carolina, South Carolina. He had these little old-fashioned, old little punk rock 8.5 by 11 Xerox posters. They'd been manipulated in interesting ways. That was really interesting.
That's really cool.
Because it was so ahead of the curve. I mean, it was just...
And that's like before the Obey thing and...
Long before the Obey thing, yeah. And I didn't take any pictures, which is crazy, but I learned from that. And I
now you take pictures.
Yeah. We got packaging and...
Oh, that's really cool.
And it's got this really nice effect when it's held up like this. You get the drop shadow at the bottom as well.
Oh, that's cool.
It looks good some depth. It's floating.
Got the wood here and got the glass and the mats.
Things just don't hang up on them on their own.